The first thing I recall after waking up is the blaring alarm of a heart monitor, and the jolt of electricity in my chest as they shocked me back to life. My body jumped, then went still. For a few seconds, I floated in a dreamlike state, but the harsh fluorescent lights told me I was very much alive. My mouth felt like sandpaper when I tried to swallow. My vision swam in and out of focus until a kind face hovered above me. His name tag said Marcus. His soft, worried eyes told me everything before his gentle voice did. But where was my family? Where were my children? Little did I know, they had gone on vacation while I fought for my life. And when I found out they were trying to sell my house behind my back, well, I made a decision that would change all our lives forever. The hospital room felt cold, not just from the air conditioning that seemed to blast from every corner, but from the emptiness that surrounded me. The room was bare, no flowers, no cards, no personal touches that would suggest anyone was waiting for me to wake up. Marcus, the nurse with kind eyes, checked my vitals and adjusted my foredrip. "You're okay, Mrs. Davis. Just rest now," he said with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. There was something he wasn't telling me. "Melissa," I croaked, my voice sounding foreign even to my own ears. "Jason, where are my children?" Marcus hesitated, his clipboard suddenly becoming the most interesting thing in the room. "Don't try to talk right now, Mrs. Davis. You need to save your strength." I knew something was wrong. Call it a mother's intuition, but after raising 2 children on my own for most of their lives, I could sense when something wasn't right. Later that night, after the shift change, when the hospital ward quieted down and the lights dimmed, I overheard Marcus speaking near my bed. I wasn't meant to hear, but I did. "Yes, she's stable. Yes, she's awake now," he said in a hushed tone. "Would they like to talk to her?" There was a pause. "Okay, I understand. Just thought I'd let them know." His voice dropped lower, but his words stung like salt in an open wound. Would they like to talk to her? And whoever was on the other end, my daughter, I later learned, had said no. My children were aware that I was alive, that I had nearly died, and they chose to stay silent. The next morning, a different nurse tidied my bedside table. As she moved my water cup, I spotted a folded piece of paper underneath. My hand shook as I picked it up, unfolding it slowly as if it might bite. "Gone for 10 days. Hope you feel better when we get back. M&J." That was it. No "we love you." No flowers. No phone call. No "we'll see you soon." Just a note like you'd leave for a neighbor who was watering your plants while you went on vacation. Tears didn't come right away. Instead, a wave of numbness washed over me, stronger than any morphine they could have given me. In that moment, I realized that the children I had sacrificed everything for, the ones I had weathered storms for, had flown off to sunshine while I clung to life by a thread. I had raised Melissa and Jason on my own after their father died suddenly when they were in high school. I worked double shifts at the local school as a librarian to put them through college. I went without so they could have. I postponed retirement so Melissa could have her dream wedding. I loaned Jason money to start his business. I even helped Ryan, my son-in-law, when his first business venture collapsed. The ICU buzzed with machines and monitors. Nurses came and went. Doctors checked charts and made notes. But for me, there was only silence. A silence louder than I could have ever imagined. In that silence, I made a promise to myself. If I made it out of this hospital, everything would be different. For 9 days, I worked on getting stronger. I did every exercise the physical therapist gave me. I ate every bland hospital meal without complaint. I took my medications on schedule. Not for my children. No, they had made their choice clear. But for myself. On the 10th day, they wheeled me out to the hospital lobby, a discharge packet and a bag of medications in hand. The only one waiting for me was a hospital volunteer. Not Melissa. Not Jason. Just a polite stranger who offered me a ride home through a community service program. The drive back to San Antonio was quiet. The volunteer driver fiddled with the radio, finding a station with soft jazz that filled the silence between us. I gazed out the window, watching familiar landscapes pass by. I was ready to be home, to be surrounded by my things, to sleep in my own bed. But as the van pulled up to my house, something felt off. The curtains in the living room window were different. The rocking chairs that usually sat on the front porch were gone. The ceramic frog planter that hid my spare key was missing from the front steps. I thanked the driver and made my way to the front door. My legs were still weak, but determination pushed me forward. I rang the doorbell, then knocked. After about 15 minutes of knocking, the door finally opened. It wasn't Melissa. It wasn't Jason. It was Ryan, my daughter's husband, holding a Starbucks cup and looking like he'd been caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "Oh, Mrs. Davis," he stammered. "You're back earlier than expected." His eyes darted around nervously, as if searching for an escape route. I walked past him into my own house, each step heavier than the last. The living room looked strange. The furniture had been rearranged. The walls were half-painted in a color I didn't recognize. Some of my photos had been taken down and tossed into a plastic bin. On the dining room table, a glossy flyer caught my eye. "Charming Southern home, perfect for young families." I picked it up, my hands trembling. There, in full color, was a photograph of my house, my home of 27 years, listed for sale. My legs gave out, and I sank into a chair. Ryan mumbled something about calling Melissa, but I barely heard him. My eyes had landed on a manila folder placed on the kitchen counter. Inside were copies of legal papers. A power of attorney document with my signature curled across the bottom, dated 3 years earlier when I'd had hip surgery and needed someone to handle my affairs while under anesthesia. An insurance policy, they'd called it. And now it had become a weapon. While Ryan stepped outside to make his phone call, I spotted an old iPad that Jason kept in the kitchen pantry. Luckily, it still had power. The screen glowed to life, and his email account was still logged in. A series of messages between him and Melissa spilled across the screen. "Once Mom's house is gone, we can finally move forward," Jason had written. "The realtor thinks we'll get top dollar." "It's about time," Melissa had replied. "We'll finally have some breathing room." Breathing room from what? From whom? From the mother who worked herself to the bone after their father died, so they could finish school? From the mother whose retirement fund had saved Ryan from bankruptcy? My chest ached with a pain that had nothing to do with my recent medical emergency. In that crushing moment, I realized this wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. They had planned this. They were erasing me from their lives. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table, the real estate flyer illuminated by the single light bulb above. "Charming Southern home, perfect for young families." The description erased me entirely. My gardens, my memories, my life in this house. By dawn, I had accepted a hard truth. Fighting my children would be messy, public, and painful for everyone involved. Instead, I would disappear. But first, I needed to regain control of my life. I thought of Danielle Ruiz, once a shy student who had blossomed into a confident young lawyer with a small firm on the west side of San Antonio. When I called her office, her response was immediate. "Mrs. Eleanor? Of course I remember you. What's wrong?" The story tumbled out of me in a shaky voice. When I finished, there wasn't disbelief, only determined silence. "People come first, not property," Danielle said firmly. "Let's stop them in their tracks. Can you meet me today? Above a family-owned taqueria, on a modest second floor with a view of nothing special." Danielle Ruiz skimmed through my papers. The smile that had greeted me disappeared quickly. "They've overstepped their bounds, Mrs. Davis," she said, tapping the real estate listing. "This power of attorney document doesn't give them the right to sell your home without your consent, especially since you're clearly of sound mind now. What they're attempting isn't just unethical, it's illegal." Relief washed over me like a cool breeze. I wasn't powerless after all. Danielle wanted all the necessary forms to immediately reverse the power of attorney. She promised swift legal action that would make my children's moves look not just foolish, but potentially criminal. Her confidence gave me strength, but a new plan was already forming in my mind. That evening, I wandered through my house one last time. Every room held memories. The kitchen where I taught Melissa to bake her father's favorite cookies. The living room where Jason had built elaborate pillow forts. The back porch where we'd watch summer storms roll in. The faint outline on the wall where our Christmas tree stood each year. The worn spot on the carpet where our old family dog used to sleep. In the pantry, I found an old shoebox where I kept emergency cash, something my own mother had taught me to do. Inside was also a small notebook with all my passwords scribbled down since the 1990s. For someone who spent her life surrounded by books, I'd always trusted paper more than digital memory. My children had underestimated me. They thought I was a feeble old woman, easy to manipulate and push aside. They'd forgotten who raised them, who I truly was. Through the doorbell camera I'd had installed last year, with Jason's insistence, ironically enough, I watched as Ryan returned later that evening, fumbling with the doorknob. I'd changed the locks that afternoon. Through the camera's speaker, I delivered a clear message. Take your tools and your plans elsewhere. This house is still mine. His hunched shoulders disappeared into the shadows as he retreated. In that moment, I knew this wasn't just about getting breathing room. I was their mark, their obstacle, their problem to solve. With Danielle's help, the process moved quickly. My full authority was restored. But instead of confronting my children, I made a different choice. I would leave, not out of defeat, but as a final lesson. It was their turn to feel the sting of abandonment. I listed the house myself, specifying cash buyers only. Within days, an offer came in, slightly below asking price, but with a promise to close within a week. I accepted immediately. On my last night in the house, I sat on a folding chair in the empty living room, eating takeout off a paper plate. Goodbye, I whispered to the walls. Goodbye to the home that had sheltered us through storms both literal and figurative. Goodbye to the mother who had sacrificed everything for children who couldn't wait to cash in on her absence. The next day, I became someone new. Eleanor Davis disappeared, and Nora Williams, my grandmother's name, took her place. It felt awkward at first, like wearing someone else's shoes, but it fit well enough to walk away in. I left behind most of my possessions. A lifetime of collecting things, photographs, keepsakes, furniture, reduced to a few boxes in the trunk of my car. I kept only what truly mattered. My father's pocket watch, a handful of old family photos, none recent, and a few books I couldn't bear to part with. On each room's door, I taped a business card with 10 words written on the back. Thank you for showing me who my real family is. That morning, I slipped into my dusty old Buick, a car my children had begged me to replace with something newer, something that didn't embarrass them when I picked them up. The car that would now carry me to a place where I couldn't be found. The highway stretched before me, leading everywhere and nowhere at once. I drove north, crossing state lines without much thought. When I reached Arkansas, a small sign for a roadside motel caught my eye. Pine Rest, weekly rates available. A faded, single-story building with peeling paint and a blinking vacancy sign became my first stop in my new life. The motel owner, Jim, asked few questions beyond whether I smoked, I didn't, and how I'd be paying cash. The room was small, with cardboard-thin walls that let in the sound of crickets and distant traffic, but I wasn't afraid. For the first time in decades, I felt free. The local library became my sanctuary. After a week of visiting daily, I struck up a conversation with the head librarian about their help wanted sign. By the following Monday, Nora Williams had her first job, shelving books and helping with children's story hour. The small town of around 6,000 people asked few questions. They saw a quiet widow looking for peace, and they respected that. My simple explanation, that I'd moved from Virginia after my husband passed, was accepted without scrutiny. Months passed. I found a small apartment above the town's only coffee shop. I made friends, real friends who knew nothing of my past but accepted me for who I was now. Clara, another librarian, became especially dear to me. Her son, Ethan, took to calling me Grandma Nora, and no one corrected him. No one told me I was in the way. No one treated me like a burden. No one tried to erase me. My lungs grew stronger in the clean mountain air. The stitches on my chest faded to pale scars. At night, I no longer dreamt of hospital rooms and betrayal. Instead, I dreamt of tomorrow's story hour or weekend drives with Clara to nearby flea markets. Then one evening in July, everything shifted. It was Ethan's 9th birthday. Clara had rented the back room of the local VFW hall, stringing up paper streamers and setting out mismatched cupcakes. I sat beside Ethan while he opened gifts, clapping when he tore through wrapping paper, smiling when he leaned against me for a hug. Someone handed me a party hat, and I put it on without thinking. One of the other moms, a blonde woman always eager with her phone, filmed the whole thing. 30 seconds of Ethan unwrapping a toy car while I helped him read the card. She uploaded it to her Instagram account. Just another cheerful clip of a child's birthday party. 3 days later, Clara burst into the library, phone in hand, face pale. "Nora," she whispered urgently, "you need to see this." The video had been shared across multiple platforms. Someone had recognized my face. "Missing grandmother found alive." Read the caption under a side-by-side comparison of me at Ethan's party and an old photo from my previous life. I hadn't actually lied to anyone in my new town. I'd simply omitted large portions of my past. But now those omissions felt like deceptions. The thin veil of my new identity began to unravel. Clara assured me it would all blow over in a week or so, but deep down I knew better. Life as Nora Williams had been peaceful. For the first time in decades, I woke up each morning with purpose that was entirely my own. My small apartment above the coffee shop filled with the aroma of fresh grounds every morning at 5. By 7, I'd be at my window seat with a paperback and a mug, watching the town come to life below. The library became more than a job, it became my kingdom. Children would run to me when they entered, tugging at my cardigan with sticky hands, asking for the dragon book or the one with the talking train. I knew each child by name, knew their reading levels, their preferences, their struggles. I created a special corner with beanbag chairs and twinkling lights where reluctant readers could feel magical, where words weren't enemies but friends. Clara and I developed a routine. Tuesdays were for pottery class at the community center. Thursdays were movie nights with Ethan. Sundays were for long drives to nowhere in particular, stopping at roadside diners and antique shops, building a collection of mismatched teacups that lined my kitchen windowsill. In this small town, I found what I'd been missing. Recognition not for what I gave, but for who I was. No one needed my money or my house or my sacrifice. They simply enjoyed my company, my stories, my laughter. But all that changed with a 30-second video clip. The morning after Clara showed me the viral post, a silver car with Texas license plates idled outside the library. Through the glass doors, I could see Melissa sitting in the passenger seat, her face a mask of conflicted emotions. It took her nearly an hour to work up the courage to come inside. When she finally pushed through the doors, her steps were hesitant, her eyes downcast. She stopped several feet away from the circulation desk where I stood, spine straight, heart hammering. "Mom," she whispered, the word falling between us like a stone in still water. I didn't respond. What could I say? This woman, my daughter by birth, had left me alone in a hospital after my heart had stopped. She had plotted to sell my home while I recovered. She had chosen a vacation over my recovery. "You look good," she continued awkwardly. "Healthy." "I am," I replied, my voice steadier than I expected. "No thanks to you." Her eyes filled with tears. "We were scared, Mom. The doctors said you might not make it. We couldn't bear to watch you die. So instead you tried to erase me while I was still breathing," I said. The words weren't angry, just matter of fact. "You left me alone in that ICU so you could go on vacation. You tried to sell my house, my home of 27 years, behind my back." "It wasn't like that," she protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "We made some bad choices, yes, but we've been looking everywhere for you. Do you have any idea what you put us through by disappearing?" The irony of her question wasn't lost on me. Actually, I do know exactly what it feels like to be abandoned by family. That's the lesson I wanted you to learn. We stood in silence for what felt like forever. Finally, Clara appeared at my side, protective as a mother bear. "Nora, is everything okay? Do you need me to call someone?" I shook my head. "This is my daughter, Melissa. She was just leaving." Melissa's face crumpled. "Mom, please. Can we talk? Really talk. Jason is devastated. We both are. We made a terrible mistake, but we want to make things right." I looked at this woman, this stranger who shared my blood, and felt nothing but a dull ache where love had once lived. "I need time," I said finally. "This isn't something we can fix in one conversation." She nodded. pulling a business card from her purse. "My new number," she explained. "And here's a letter from Jason. He couldn't come, he's not in a good place right now. But he wanted you to have this." I took the envelope but didn't open it. "I'll read it when I'm ready." After she left, Clara wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "Family stuff is complicated," she said simply. "Whatever you decide, Ethan and I are here for you. You know that, right?" I nodded, tears finally spilling over. "I know." It took me 2 days to work up the courage to open Jason's letter. His handwriting, always messy, looked even more chaotic than usual, as if his hand had been shaking. "Mom," he'd written. "I don't even know where to begin. I'm sorry doesn't cover the magnitude of what we did. We were selfish and cruel and scared. The truth is, seeing you in that hospital bed, all those tubes and machines keeping you alive, it broke something in me. I couldn't face the possibility of losing you like we lost Dad. So instead of being strong, instead of being there for you when you needed us most, we ran away. We told ourselves we were being practical, that we needed to prepare for a future without you. But that was just an excuse for our cowardice. I know we don't deserve your forgiveness. What we did was unforgivable. But if you're reading this, if there's even a small chance you might let us try to make amends, please email me. No cameras, no excuses. Just us." He included his email address and signed it simply, "Your son, who is more sorry than words can express." I set the letter aside, emotions swirling like autumn leaves in a windstorm. Part of me wanted to throw it away, to continue my life as Nora Williams without looking back. But another part, the mother who had once held a crying little boy through thunderstorms, who had bandaged skinned knees and kissed away tears, couldn't quite let go. I needed more time, more space, more clarity. The next evening, I asked Clara to drive me to the small cemetery on the edge of town. We sat on a bench near the grave of someone named Frank Williams. No relation to my borrowed name, just a coincidence that felt significant somehow. When my husband died, I began breaking our comfortable silence. I thought nothing could ever hurt that much again. I was wrong. Clara nodded, letting me speak without interruption. The betrayal. It wasn't just that they left me alone when I was sick. It was that they were so ready to erase me, to sell my home, to distribute my things, to move on without a backward glance. As if my entire life had been leading up to the moment when I would conveniently disappear and stop being their problem. "People do stupid, selfish things when they're afraid," Clara said gently. "It doesn't excuse it, but it might help explain it." "Maybe," I conceded. "But how do you come back from something like that? How do you trust again?" Clara considered this, watching as the setting sun painted the gravestones in warm golden light. "I don't know if you ever trust completely again," she said finally. "But maybe you start small. Maybe you give them a chance to show you who they are now, not who they were in their worst moment." I thought about that for a long time. When we got back to my apartment, I sent Jason a short email. "Cemetery. 2 days from now. Come alone." The cemetery felt heavier somehow as I clutched my bag, waiting for Jason to arrive. The same bench where Clara and I had sat, the same view of Frank Williams' grave marker, but everything felt weighted with significance. Jason arrived exactly on time, something new for him. The boy I raised had always been perpetually 10 minutes late, rushing from one thing to the next with boundless energy. The man who approached now moved slowly, deliberately, as if each step required thought. He'd lost weight. His normally clean-shaven face sported a patchy beard. The confident swagger I'd always associated with him was gone, replaced by a hunched uncertainty. He stopped several feet away, hands shoved deep in his pockets, eyes red-rimmed. "I didn't think you'd actually come," I said, breaking the silence. "I didn't think you'd give me the chance," he replied, voice hoarse. "Thank you for that." I gestured to the bench, and he sat, maintaining a respectful distance between us. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. A light breeze rustled through the trees. Somewhere nearby, a bird called to its mate. "I don't know how to do this," Jason finally admitted. "I've been practicing what to say for days, and now my mind is completely blank. Why don't you start with the truth?" I suggested. "Not what you think I want to hear. Just the truth." He took a deep breath. The truth is, I've been a terrible son. Not just with what happened at the hospital. Before that too. He stared at his hands, twisting a silver ring I'd never seen before. You've always been so strong, Mom. After Dad died, you never fell apart. You just handled everything. I think part of me resented that. How capable you were, how little you seemed to need us. I did need you, I said quietly. More than you know. He nodded. I know that now. But back then, it was easier to see you as this force of nature. Unbreakable. So when you got sick, when your heart actually stopped, I couldn't handle it. The thought of watching you die, of being helpless to stop it. I panicked. So you left me alone instead. I stated flatly. Yes, he admitted, the word barely audible. Melissa and I convinced each other it was the right thing to do. That we needed to be practical about your house, your things. We told ourselves we were honoring your organizational spirit by getting everything in order. A bitter laugh escaped him. But the truth is, we were cowards. Running away was easier than staying. I thought about his words, about the fear behind them. Had I been so stoic after their father's death that I'd inadvertently taught them the wrong lesson? That emotions were to be suppressed? That pain was to be handled alone? I don't sleep well anymore, Jason continued when I remained silent. Every night, I imagine you waking up in that hospital room, realizing no one was there. No one waiting. Just that stupid note we left. His voice broke. I dream about you reading it, about the hurt in your eyes. I wake up hating myself. I'm not going to tell you it's okay, I said after a moment. What you and Melissa did, it wasn't okay. I know, he whispered. But I do understand fear. I continued. I understand what it's like to make decisions from a place of panic and regret them later. Hope flickered across his face. Does that mean? Is there any chance you might come home? That we could try to fix this? The question hung in the air between us. Home. Such a simple word for such a complicated concept. Was San Antonio still my home? Was this man, this son who had abandoned me at my most vulnerable, still my family? I don't know, I answered honestly. The woman you knew, Eleanor Davis, she doesn't exist anymore. I'm Nora Williams now. I have a life here. Friends who have never let me down. A job that brings me joy. A chosen family. Chosen family, Jason repeated, the words like gravel in his mouth. I guess we deserve that. We failed as your real family. Blood doesn't automatically make someone real family, I said gently. Real family shows up. Real family stays when things get hard. Real family puts your needs above their vacation plans. He flinched at that, but didn't argue. I'd like to meet them, he said eventually. The people who've been there for you when we weren't. I'd like to thank them. The request surprised me. It wasn't what I'd expected. A demand that I return, perhaps, or more excuses for their behavior. This humility was new. I'll think about it, I promised. From my bag, I pulled out a small notebook and pen. On a blank page, I wrote down everything that had gone well in my new life. My job at the library, my friendship with Clara, my relationship with Ethan, my pottery class, my window seat above the coffee shop. On the opposite page, I listed what hadn't gone well. The lingering health issues from my heart attack, the nightmares, the moments of intense loneliness that sometimes still ambushed me. I tore out the page and handed it to Jason. This is me now. The good and the bad. I'm not the same person who raised you. And I never will be again. If you want a relationship with Nora Williams, it has to be on new terms. No expectations. No guilt. No pressure to fit back into the role I played before. He took the paper with trembling hands, reading it carefully before folding it and placing it in his shirt pocket, close to his heart. I'd be honored to know Nora Williams, he said, voice steady despite the tears in his eyes, even if she never fully forgives Jason Davis. As he stood to leave, he hesitated, clearly uncertain if a hug would be welcome. I stood too, but made no move toward him. We weren't there yet. Might never be. Thank you for meeting me, he said simply. For giving me a chance I don't deserve. Everyone deserves a chance to change, I replied. The question is whether you'll use it. I watched him walk away, his shoulders straighter than when he'd arrived, as if a weight had shifted, not disappeared, but perhaps redistributed to a more manageable position. Later that evening, Clara called to check in. "How did it go?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "Better than expected," I admitted. "Worse than I'd hoped." "That sounds about right for family reunions," she said with a small laugh. "Are you okay?" I considered the question seriously. "I think I will be. Not today, maybe not tomorrow. But eventually." "Ethan's asking if you'll still help with his school project this weekend," she said, changing the subject. "The leaf collection." The simple normalcy of the request brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Life went on. Children still needed help with homework. Leaves still changed colors and fell from trees. "Tell him yes," I said, smiling through my tears. I wouldn't miss it for the world. That Saturday, Ethan and I wandered through the town park, collecting maple leaves the size of his hand, oak leaves with their distinctive lobes, the star-shaped sweet gum leaves that crackled satisfyingly when stepped on. We laughed as we tried to catch falling leaves before they hit the ground. An old superstition that each one caught meant a happy day to come. As we laid our treasures out on Clara's kitchen table, carefully arranging them between sheets of waxed paper to be ironed and preserved, I felt a sense of rightness settle over me. This was where I belonged now, helping a child discover the world's small wonders, creating memories that had nothing to do with duty or obligation or blood ties. "Grandma Nora," Ethan said thoughtfully as he sorted leaves by color, "are you sad about your old family?" Children's perceptiveness never ceased to amaze me. "Sometimes," I answered honestly. "But I'm happy about my new family too." He nodded, satisfied with my answer. "Mom says we're your family now. She says family isn't always who you're born with, it's who you choose." "Your mom is very wise," I told him, ruffling his hair affectionately. Later that night, as I prepared for bed, my phone pinged with a text message from Melissa. "Jason told me about your meeting. I understand if you need more time. Just know we're here when you're ready. If you're ever ready. Love you, Mom." The simplicity of the message, the lack of pressure or manipulation, felt like a first step. A small one, but real. Fall turned to winter. The small town dressed itself in twinkling lights and evergreen garlands. The library hosted holiday story hours where I read The Night Before Christmas, wearing a Santa hat that made the children giggle. Clara invited me to spend Christmas with her and Ethan. My first holiday with my chosen family. "We're not much for fancy decorations," she warned as she handed me a mug of hot chocolate topped with mini marshmallows. "But what we lack in style, we make up for in enthusiasm." She wasn't kidding. Ethan had covered their modest tree with homemade ornaments, clay figures from years past, paper chains, photos tucked into tiny frames, popcorn strings draped haphazardly across the branches. A slightly lopsided angel, clearly crafted by younger hands, crowned the top. It was the most beautiful tree I'd ever seen. On Christmas morning, we exchanged simple gifts. I gave Ethan a set of adventure books I knew he'd love, complete with maps and secret codes. For Clara, I'd found a vintage teacup to add to our collection. This one painted with tiny bluebonnets, a small reminder of my Texas past. They gave me a photo album. On the cover, embroidered in Clara's neat stitching, were the words "Our Chosen Family." Inside were pictures from the past year. Me reading to children at the library, all three of us at Ethan's birthday party, our leaf collecting expedition, pottery class disasters that made us laugh until we cried. "So you never forget you belong here," Clara explained as I traced the words with my finger, too moved to speak. That afternoon, as Ethan napped off his sugar rush and Clara called her sister, I checked my email. There were messages from both Melissa and Jason, Christmas greetings, updates on their lives, carefully worded to inform without pressure. They'd been respecting my boundaries, reaching out regularly but gently, never pushing for more than I was ready to give. I sent brief replies, sharing a little about my holiday with Clara and Ethan. It felt strange but right. Keeping these parallel relationships, these separate pieces of myself that didn't quite fit together, yet might someday. In January, I received an unexpected invitation. Jason had moved to Little Rock, just 2 hours away, for a fresh start of his own. "No pressure," his email stressed. But if you ever want to meet for coffee, I'm close by now. I considered it for weeks before finally agreeing to a Saturday afternoon meeting at a neutral location. A busy cafe downtown where we could talk without the weight of too much privacy. When I arrived, he was already there, nursing a cup of coffee, looking more like his old self than he had at the cemetery. He stood when he saw me, smiled tentative but genuine. "You look good," he said after we'd ordered. "Happy?" "I am," I confirmed. "Most days anyway." "Melissa's seeing a therapist," he offered. "She's working through a lot of stuff. Not just about what happened with you, but deeper issues too. Turns out we both have some abandonment fears we never dealt with after Dad died." I nodded, unsurprised. We all handle grief differently. I threw myself into being strong for you both. Maybe too strong. "I'm seeing someone too," he continued. "It's helping. I'm learning to sit with uncomfortable feelings instead of running from them." "That's good, Jason. Really good." We talked for nearly 2 hours. About his new job. About my library programs. About Ethan's latest school project. About Melissa's tentative steps toward repairing our relationship. It wasn't the easy conversation we might have had in our old lives, but it wasn't strained either. It was something new, a bridge being built one plank at a time. As spring arrived, bringing with it a riot of wildflowers and longer days, I found myself settling more deeply into my life as Nora Williams. My apartment above the coffee shop now truly felt like home, filled with books and pottery projects in various stages of completion. The teacup collection had expanded to take over an entire shelf. Photographs, both old and new, dotted the walls. Clara and I expanded our weekend adventures to include nearby towns, discovering hidden gem restaurants and quirky museums. Ethan started baseball, and I rarely missed a game, cheering from the bleachers alongside Clara, both of us wearing team colors. Jason visited every month or so. Sometimes we just had coffee. Other times, when things felt right, he joined us for dinner at Clara's or helped with one of Ethan's projects. Slowly, cautiously, he was becoming part of this new life. Not as my son in the traditional sense, but as something new we were creating together. Melissa was a slower process. Distance made regular visits difficult, but we spoke on the phone every few weeks. She came to see me in person just once that spring. A weekend visit where we walked around town, her getting to know the place I now called home. She met Clara and Ethan briefly, the interaction polite, but reserved on both sides. "They seem nice," she said afterward. "I'm glad you found them." "I didn't just find them," I corrected gently. "We chose each other." Summer arrived, bringing with it the 1-year anniversary of my new life. The library staff threw a surprise party for Nora's first year, complete with a cake shaped like a book. Clara and Ethan gave me a wind chime for my porch, one that caught the morning sunlight in fragments of colored glass. That evening, sitting on my porch listening to my new wind chime sing in the breeze, I called Melissa. We chatted about ordinary things, her work, my garden, the summer heat. As our conversation wound down, she asked the question I knew had been on her mind. "Will you ever come back to San Antonio, Mom? Even just to visit?" I considered the question seriously. "I don't know," I answered honestly. "That place holds different memories for me now. But maybe someday, when it doesn't hurt so much to remember." She accepted this with grace I wouldn't have expected a year earlier. "Whatever you decide is okay," she said. "We'll be here." After we hung up, I thought about how far we'd all come. The children who had abandoned me in my moment of greatest need were learning to be better people. The mother who had sacrificed everything for her biological family had discovered the joy of chosen connections. None of us were the same people we'd been before that fateful hospital stay. Some online strangers still debated whether I'd been right or wrong to disappear, to teach my children such a harsh lesson about abandonment. Articles had been written, opinions shared, judgments passed by people who knew nothing about the complexity of our situation. But I wasn't concerned with their verdicts. I was simply Nora Williams, living my second chance at life, surrounded by people who saw me, really saw me, for who I was now, not for what I could give them or what role I could play. Family isn't always about blood ties. Sometimes it's about who stays when things get hard. Sometimes it's about finding each other when you least expect it. Sometimes it's about forgiveness and second chances. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go and when to build something new from the ashes of what was lost. I chose my family, and in doing so, I finally chose myself. And that's the story of how I found myself after losing everything, or thinking I had lost everything. Life rarely gives us perfect endings, but it does offer us perfect moments. Ethan catching falling leaves in the park. Clara finding the exact right teacup at a yard sale. Jason building birdhouses with steady hands. Melissa's voice on the phone, no longer demanding but simply connecting. These moments, strung together like beads on a necklace, create something beautiful from what was once broken. They remind us that it's never too late to start again, to redefine what family means, to choose connection over obligation. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Leave a comment below about a time when you had to make a difficult choice for your own well-being. Your experiences might help someone else find the courage to choose themselves too. Until next time, remember that the family that matters most is the one that shows up when you need them. Whether they're related by blood, by law, or simply by love.